That's it. Yes, but you shouldn't be here. Yes. Sorry, but... Give it to Zach. He's not a bad musician, or he can count anyway. Bhagavatam. I think we need a copy of the Bhagavatam. Fifth canto. It's black. Have a look and see if it's not somewhere else there. No. That's interesting. Well, not interesting at all. Not there? It's there. Thank you. What's the text number that we've got on the board? 26. Okay. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Banachari Jamuna Tera Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashto Tarasadashi Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitai Gora Premanandi Namo Meshwaraya Krishna Sabala Shmati Bunijam Prabhu Janamane Namo Meshwaraya Krishna Sabala Shmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Janamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Bali Pacharane Navasesha Sunyabadi Paschat Desatare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5. The creative impetus. Chapter number 26, the hellish planets, text number 26. Yastvi havai savarnam bharyam dvijo retaha payayati kama mohitas tampapakritam amutra retaha kulyayam patayitva retaha sampayayanti. If a foolish member of the twice-born classes, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, forces his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put after death into the hell known as Lala Bhaksha. There he is thrown into a flying river of semen which he is forced to drink. Purport: the practice of forcing one's wife to drink one's own semen is a black art practiced by extremely lusty persons. Those who practice this very abominable activity say that if a wife is forced to drink her husband's semen, she remains very faithful to him. Generally, only low-class men engage in this black art, but if a man born in a higher class does so, after death he is put into the hell known as Lalabhaksha. There he is immersed in the river known as Shukra Nadi and forced to drink semen. Text 27. Yatviha vai dasyavognida garada graman saratan va vilumpanti rajano rajabhata va tangs chapihi paretya yamaduta vajradamstraha svanaha saptashatani vimsatis cha sarabhasam kadanti. In this world, some persons are professional plunderers who set fire to others' houses or administer poison to them. Also, members of the royalty or government officials sometimes plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax and by other methods. After death, such demons are put into the hell known as Sarameyadana. On that planet there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the orders of the agents of Yamaraj, these dogs voraciously devour such sinful people. Purport. In the 12th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam it is said, in this age of Kali, everyone will be extremely disturbed by three kinds of tribulations: scarcity of rain, famine, and heavy taxation by the government. Because human beings are becoming more and more sinful, there will be a scarcity of rain, famine, and heavy taxation by the government. This verse is almost exactly repeated except for the ending. Because human beings are becoming more sinful, there will be a scarcity of rain and naturally no food grains will be produced. On the plea of relieving the suffering caused by the ensuing famine, the government will impose heavy taxes, especially on the wealthy mercantile community. In this verse, the members of such a government are described as dasyu, thieves. Their main activity will be to plunder the wealth of the people. Whether a highway robber or a government thief, such a man will be punished in his next life by being thrown into the hell known as Sarameyadana, where he will suffer greatly from the bites of ferocious dogs. Text 28. Yastvihava anritam vadati sakshye dravya vinamaye daneva katanchit savai pretya narake vichimati adhashira niravakashe yojana shatotrayad giri murdnaha sampatyate yatra jalam ivastalam ashma prishtam avabhasate tad avichimat tilaso visiryamana sarirona miryamana puna aropito nipatati. A person who in this life bears false witness or lies while transacting business or giving charity is severely punished after death by the agents of Yamaraj. Such a sinful man is taken to the top of a mountain 800 miles high and thrown head first into the hell known as Avichimat. This hell has no shelter and is made of strong stone resembling the waves of water. There is no water there, however, and thus it is called Avichimat, waterless. Although the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain and his body broken to tiny pieces, he still does not die, but continuously suffers chastisement. Yastvihavai vipro rajanyo vaishyo va somapitas tat kalatram va suram bratasto pi va pibati pramadatas tesham nirayam nitanam urasi padakramyasye vanina dravamanam kashnayasam nisinchanti. Any Brahmana or Brahmana's wife who drinks liquor is taken by the agents of Yamaraj to the hell known as Ayapana. This hell also awaits any Kshatriya, Vaishya or person under a vow who in illusion drinks somaras. In Ayapana, the agents of Yamaraj stand on their chests and pour hot melted iron into their mouths. Oh my gosh. There's a few things here you probably choose not to do. Purport: one should not be a Brahmana in name only and engage in all kinds of sinful activities, especially drinking liquor. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas must behave according to the principles of their order. If they fall down to the level of Sudras who are accustomed to drink liquor, they will be punished as described herein. I think I'll finish this chapter off. I'll just read the translation. A low-born and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he by birth, austerity, education, behaviour, caste or spiritual order, is like a dead man, even in this lifetime. And after death, he is thrown headfirst into the hell known as Charakardama. There he must... That must be a mistake. Must be. There he must great suffer. The great should be taken out. There he must suffer great tribulation at the hands of the agents of Yamaraj. Is that the text that you've got?
On the database it says, there he must suffer great tribulation.
There he must great suffer. That's wrong. Should write to the BBT and tell them. Error. Purport: one should not become falsely proud. One must be respectful toward a person more elevated than he by birth, education, behaviour, caste, or spiritual order. If one does not show respect to such highly elevated persons but indulges in false pride, he receives punishment in Charakardama. Okay, be respectful to those worthy of respect. Translation: there are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraj, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords. Just as in this world the man-eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation, their victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrifices and celebrating in the same way. Okay. In this life, translation, text number 32. In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds. They come to them for protection in the village or forest, and after making them believe that they will be protected, such people pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought by the assistance of Yamaraj to the hell known as Shula Prota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds such as vultures and herons come at them from all sides to tear at their bodies. tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. Ooh. Text 33. Those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Dandashuka. My dear king, in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons just as snakes eat mice. Oh. Text 34. Those who in this life confine other living entities in dark wells, granaries or mountain caves are put after death into the hell known as Aniruddha. There they themselves are pushed into dark wells where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them, and they suffer very severely. Text 35. A householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called Prabhupada, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. Purport. According to the Vedic etiquette, even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. A guest who comes to one's home should be received very politely. If he is unwanted, the householder should not stare at him with blinking eyes, for one who does so will be put into the hell known as Prabhupada. And after death, and there many ferocious birds like vultures, crows and choknis will suddenly come upon him and pluck out his eyes. I wonder what a chokni is. Chokni. Heron. No, heron is a kanka. Huh? Kanka, heron. It's a type of bird, chokni. Chokni. I wonder if that's... Okay. Text number 36. One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth, always thinks, I am so rich, who can equal me? His vision is twisted and he is always afraid that someone will take his wealth. Indeed, he even suspects his superiors. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth. And therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness, and he does not know what it is to be free from anxiety. Because of the sinful things he does to earn money, augment his wealth and protect it, he is put into the hell called Suchi Mukha, where the officials of Yamaraj punish him by stitching thread through his entire body like weavers manufacturing cloth. Ouch. Purport. When one possesses more wealth than necessary, he certainly becomes very proud. This is the situation of men in modern civilization. According to the Vedic culture, Brahmanas do not possess anything, whereas Kshatriyas possess riches, but only for performing sacrifices and other noble activities as prescribed in the Vedic injunctions. A Vaishya Also earns money honestly through agriculture, cow protection and some trade. If a Sudra gets money, however, he will spend it lavishly without discrimination, or simply accumulate it for no purpose. Because in this age there is no qualified brahmanas, because in this age there are no qualified brahmanas, kshatriyas or vaishyas, almost everyone is a Sudra. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Therefore, the Sudra mentality is causing great harm to modern civilization. A Sudra does not know how to use money to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. Money is also called Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is always engaged in the service of Narayana. Wherever there is money, it must be engaged in the service of Lord Narayana. Everyone should use his money to spread the great transcendental movement of Krishna consciousness. If one does not spend money for this purpose, but accumulates more than necessary, he will certainly become proud of the money he illegally possesses. The money actually belongs to Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29, Bhaktaram Jagyatapasam Savaloka Maheshwaram. I am the true enjoyer of sacrifices and penances, and I am the owner of all the planets. Therefore, nothing belongs to anyone but Krishna. One who possesses more money than he needs should spend it for Krishna. Unless one does so, he will become puffed up because of his false possessions, and therefore he will be punished in the next life as described herein. Okay. Ooh, nearly finished. A couple more verses. But these have got substantial purports. Yep. Okay. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Kananjana Salakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadaha Mahayam Dadati Svapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yad Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatam jagat tena jaktena bunjita magrida kasya sveddanam. Everything animate and inanimate belongs to the Isha, the controller, the supreme controller. And the supreme controller provides facilities for everybody else. And the learned or wise person acknowledges the proprietorship not only of the Supreme Person, but also that the Supreme Person gives everybody a certain quota, right? For them to use according to their capacity, according to their inclination, in the service of the Lord. So there's an acknowledgement that there is an owner, a proprietor. And that proprietorship is respected. Recognition and respect. This is an understanding of the sambandha, of the relationships that exist within the creation, and that our first relationship or our first recognition, our first respects should be paid to the Isha, the controller, the supreme controller. What is it? Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. He is the Parameshvara. Ishvaraha Parama. The supreme controller is Krishna. Satchit Ananda Vigraha, and that he has a transcendental, purely transcendental spiritual form. Even though he appears in the material world, he is not part of the material creation. He's transcendental to it. Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda. He is the cause of everything. This is the unique characteristic of God, the source of everything. He is the beginning of everything, but he himself has no beginning. Although actually all of the living entities are eternal. None of us have a beginning. We have, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all of these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Na tveva aham jatu na sam, na tvam, what is it, Janay? Anyway, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Which is a testimony to our conditioning, right? Because this is our natural position. But we think we have a beginning, a middle and an end because we identify with the body. Right? I'm this body and I took birth. Right? And because of the shock, the challenge, the trauma, effectively, of dying and being reborn, we forget our previous lives. This is the potency of the material energy, despite the fact that we're spiritual by nature. And that spirit soul is transcendental to the material energy in reality, but still under the influence of our karma, of our past deeds, and the force of karma, effectively, administrated by Krishna as a super soul, who's within everything, but imperceptible, imperceivable, right? But under the direction of the super soul, we're all getting the rewards of our past activities, right? And we forget. We forget who we are and what our relationship is with the Supreme Person, right? And so the purpose of human life, or the advantage of human life, is the opportunity to reawaken that identity. I'm not the body. And I am a spirit soul. I have identity. I am someone. I am something. Right? This is the quest of life. Who am I? Or at least for the fortunate, the Kona Bhagavana Jeev, the Jiva, the fortunate Jiva asks the question, what the hell am I doing here? What happened? This is not right. I protest. This is not right. This is not what I want. All of this suffering and confusion, ignorance, It's painful. Huh? Huh? It's painful. Why am I suffering? The first question, asked by Rupa Goswami to Lord Chaitanya, why am I suffering? If I'm such a smart person that everybody says I am, why am I suffering? So this is really atato brahma jigyasa. When one comes to the human form of life, then this is the inquiry. And then as a consequence of that inquiry, then one starts to understand, assuming that one's, and this is the importance of association of sadhus, sadhu sangha, is that one gets answers to these questions, right? These important questions, and the right answers, the correct answers. The advantage of associating with the sadhus is that one can have one's answers met. And also by their example and by their association, one can learn the proper behaviour. That one should study the authorised texts and act on those instructions. Act in the correct way, so that the inquiry can be fulfilled. But as part of that, there needs to be this respect. Respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, respect for the Shastra, respect for the sadhus, which is what really is pointed out here in this section of the Vedas. If you're disrespectful to others, be prepared to suffer. Right? Effectively. Last night was an interesting phenomena. And this happens in the summertime in Melbourne, especially the weather gets warmer. So out come the hoons. And they drive their cars up and down, the beach road and show off. Do wheelies, rev their cars up, spin their wheels, basically show off. Look at me, look how great I am. And I just look at them and I think, you're a mug. You're not anybody. I haven't seen so many, is it VL? I think of VL Commodores in one place, such a long time. And they were a good car. I had one of those. They were a reliable vehicle, right? A reliable vehicle. And it was the first of the Holdens with a fuel injection system. And actually had a Nissan motor in it. It was a motor built by Nissan. They're good cars. The one I had lasted for a real long time. I did a lot of Sankirtan in that. Sold a lot of books out of that car. So anyway, it was quite a surprise for me because I haven't seen that kind of hoon culture for a long time. But that's what happens to hot weather. The next day's a public holiday, so they all come out and show off. Right? But what a gross culture, really. Hot rods. Hot rods, spinning your wheels, and basically, showing no respect to anybody. Look at me. It's a Sudra kind of a culture, very much. And they get pleasure out of that, some sort of pleasure, showing off. But it's such ephemeral, such a pointless exercise in many respects. Whereas the Vedic culture, it's not about showing off. It's about keeping one's consciousness in a very ordered, structured way of life, a very deliberate way of life, so that the focus is on if we're going to show anybody off, we want to show off Krishna, we want to show off the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And his, any qualification or any characteristic or any quality that we might have that's exceptional or outstanding, it doesn't come from us, actually. Ultimately, its source is in the Supreme Person. Its source is in God. And so the Vedic culture is to establish and increase that appreciation and understanding, and to respect those in others, not envy them and want to have them for yourself so that you can then show off things that are only temporary in any case. Right? And so there's this understanding of things that are temporal, that are limited and temporary. And so there's not much value put in those, because you may have wealth, you may have fame, you may have influence today, but tomorrow it could all be gone. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be the day after. And then what? In that illusion of thinking yourself so great or so big or so hot, you then just offend others. What's the benefit? What's the real benefit of those things? And then you suffer, as we see here in the Bhagavatam. We behave in offensive ways towards others, there will be a reaction. There's a reaction, even to these, smaller, these appear to be smaller things, like cheating as a businessman. Huh? In this day and age, if you're cheating as a businessman, then you're praised. Oh, what a wonderful businessman he is. They'll elect you to the highest office if you're the bigger cheater. Right? The bigger cheater you are, the more position you get. Some of these things that are described here in the Bhagavatam, for which you'll be punished, in this age, people think, oh, that's wonderful. This is really good. So, we shouldn't be proud of our facilities, especially of our wealth here. But rather we should use those facilities for the benefit of Krishna and preaching Krishna consciousness. Then we'll really be benefited. What's wrong with the camera? No, I noticed that it's flickering a lot in the last few days, watching it at home. It flickers all the time.
Only sound, I just put it, this is coming from.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So the message here is one should live an honest life, a simple life, a life that takes advantage of the facilities that are provided freely by Krishna. Krishna is not a miser, and he's happy to share these things freely with everyone. But we're the ones who want to take everything and keep it for ourselves. And then when we accumulate wealth, power, influence, fame, whatever, then we use it to abuse others, or primarily to disadvantage others, not to be charitable. This is why a charitable man gains fame And when they're charitable without respect for return for themselves. So, we can learn from this section of the Bhagavatam many things. But that, the prime duty of life is to utilize it for making advancement, primarily spiritual advancement. We're in the material world, but we're not of it. We are spiritual by nature. And the real benefit of human life is to reawaken our spiritual identity. This is the advantage. And not to utilize these facilities and so-called enjoy the material facilities, but end up inflicting damage and pain and suffering on ourselves in future. So therefore the Vedic culture lives an ordered and structured lifestyle. And the Vedas give us instructions. There are things, positive injunctions, the things that we should do, and there are the negative prohibitions of things we should avoid. And so in these chapters of the Bhagavatam, or in this chapter specifically, we're getting clear instructions. Avoid these activities. If not, here's the reactions. There will be reactions. And the real benefit of the human form of life is to re-establish our connection by following the right path, if you like, the path of Dharma. And this is Krishna's purpose, right? Dharma samstapanatano, right? This is our purpose, to establish and encourage the performance of right action, if you like. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is about. Here's how you should act to ensure that you're making progress. There is right and there is wrong. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions on any of these points?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was just wondering that when we go out on Harinam, and when people hear the holy name, or if they just sing, because not everybody takes it up immediately. Like they'll chant the holy name, and then they get back to their sinful activities. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the story of Ajamal, because so they'll be saved from these hells. Will they be saved from these hells?
By hearing?
Yeah, like when they hear Harinam, or they chant the holy name.
Eventually, yes. But Prabhupada gives the example of wet and dry grass, right? If you try to light a fire in wet grass, what happens? Not a lot. But if summer's coming up, at the moment the fields are all lusciously green, right? So the fire risk is low. Right? Everything's still wet, sodden. We're seeing it in the rivers, the soil of the land is sodden. So when it rains, water just runs off. And so, rivers and the creeks flood because of the spring rains. And it's common for floods, now. So low fire risk. But, February, after the end of summer, everything's dried out. Just chuck a match, poof, up it goes. Right? So most of the populace are like wet grass. They hear the chanting of Hare Krishna, they may be attracted, but they're not inquisitive, they're dull. And so the fire of Krishna consciousness doesn't ignite. But if we're regularly chanting and people are hearing the Maha Mantra, they'll gradually be, because this is the beginning. What is it? Shravanadi, what's the first line? Nityasiddha. The eternal, or the eternal perfection. Nityasiddha Krishna Prem. The eternal perfection of Krishna Prem exists within the hearts of everybody, actually, but it's covered over by, lifetimes of ignorance. But Shravanadi Sudachitte, by hearing, bhakti begins with hearing. And for many people, it's the hearing of the Maha Mantra. This is why the Maha Mantra is so important. Right? We experience it and we feel the effect of chanting Hare Krishna. We feel it, right? and primarily, our practice is chanting Hare Krishna. This is what we do. It is our prime means of purification. Hearing the Maha Mantra. So that constant hearing is like the sun, drying out wet grass. There's benefit. It may take time. It will take time. It does take time. We see, we're seeing that. And there are Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that out of many thousands amongst men, hardly one will come to the point of perfection, which means to understand that they're not the body, they're the spiritual body. That's the start. But not many people are like that. Right? Manushyanam, out of thousands, sahasreshu. So, and that's the way to do it. That's the way to bring them. So, do they benefit? Yes. Does it take time? Yes. Right. Do they suffer in the meantime? Yes. Everybody is. Anybody who thinks they're not suffering is a fool. Right? So, to one degree or another, So, it's imperceptible. It's hard to see, right? But you do, like, after the first lockdown, we were going out on Harinam, and the people were so happy to see us. You can see people are happy to see the devotees, to have the association, and to hear the Maha Mantra. Oh, great! The Hare Krishnas are back in town. Right? They like it because it's natural to. So, yeah, we can see it gradually. It's having an effect. So that's why, obviously, we should keep chanting. But yes, it's having an effect. These are effects that are manifest on the spiritual platform, right? And so we may not be able to immediately perceive the benefits. Yeah, may not be able to. But we feel it in ourselves, so we know that it must have an effect.
Thank you, Prabhu. May I ask one more question, if that's okay?
Sure. Nobody else is?
Thank you. I also wanted to just ask a question regarding the offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. According to that offense, what I've heard is that if someone knowingly commits sinful activities, they get the reaction of those sinful activities and the reaction of the offense. So when it is said the reaction of the sinful activities, is it these reactions, like the hellish planet reactions, or?
Sorry?
So we have one of the 10 offenses is that to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, where some people commit sinful activities knowingly on the strength of, like, they know it's sin, but they do sinful activities and they chant as well, but they know that it's sinful and still they commit. So I had heard that if they do that, then they get reaction of the sinful activity and the reaction of the offense as well. So when the reaction of sinful activity is at these hellish planets? Because like it's quite, like we read today, like it's quite...
For devotees, you mean?
I mean, I'm not quite sure, because if they are if they are...
For the devotees, these reactions here are not... But if there's sinful activities committed as a result of, or in knowledge, and I think Ajamil is our example, right? So if a devotee meets some challenges in their spiritual life, it's a different situation to what's being described here, and Krishna mentions that the devotee will never perish, right? We look and Bharat Maharaj. So these are not. It's not a license to perform sinful activities, but we can understand that the devotees are under, Prabhupada says the devotees are actually under Krishna's care, if you like, and that the challenges that are faced by a devotee are managed by Krishna, right? But will there be reactions? There must be, right? But not the type of reactions that we're seeing here. Right? One will have to take birth. There will be undoubtedly suffering, right? And yet, if we surrender, if we take advantage of the opportunities given to us by Krishna and the devotees, then a devotee can be free from, whatever attachments they have. Basically, it's attachment, and learning it's the stage of anatta nivritti is where one has to chant and engage in the process of devotional service in order to be freed from those attachments. Effectively, it's an attachment. And sometimes that's a painful process for which there will be reactions. But if one keeps taking advantage of the association of the devotees and the holy name and the Shastra and, is serious, is sincere, then purification will be swift, perhaps even painful, but it will. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. If you come to fix the computer system, yeah. Okay, Kantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.